Hi, my name is Molly Medina, and the topic of my speech is school uniforms. Will it make a difference in students' lives? While visiting family in Brisbane, Australia, I observed several groups of students gathering at the mall, and they caught my attention because they were all dressed in school uniforms. But that was not all that I noticed. As I continued to observe, I was impressed with their behavior, their mannerism, and also their language. What was different about these students? And what was it that set them apart from the students I had observed earlier? Was it the school uniforms they wore? Working with students in my school district, I've observed many times when students would come in middle school, in high school, middle school, and grade school, I would cut. I would observe students coming to school dressed in not so nice clothes, and other students would come dressed in the latest fashion. I would observe students coming to school dressed in not so nice clothes, and other students would come dressed in the latest fashion. Our children come from different socioeconomics in my school district, and I think that if parents and the community were aware of the challenges that students are facing in their schools, they would help because they care. They may offer suggestions to the school districts to look into school uniforms and what impact it would make, starting with middle school students and also grade school level. I found that students learn best when there is a sense of unity in the classroom and a feeling of belonging. Now, I've never worn a uniform before, but I've been around students who wore them every day. School uniforms have always been worn in private schools. I know because my husband used to wear uniforms to private school from kindergarten to 12th grade, and it made a huge difference to him and his siblings, and he liked it. My husband said choosing what to wear was simple for him, and the choices were very easy. Students in public schools have been wearing uniforms um, as well as have been wearing school uniforms as well as in different districts. I'm going to share with you the positive impact that school uniforms can have on students in public schools and what districts in the United States are doing to help families afford school uniforms. Why school uniforms are important to families and students? Because it creates a positive impact, and school uniforms can be affordable to parents and students. Uniforms create a positive attitude, and wearing school uniforms in public and private schools help make a difference in the lives of students. It creates a positive atmosphere as well as attitudes in the classroom among peers. President Clinton and the Department of Education were encouraging school districts to think about adopting school uniforms. The Department of Education in 1996 found that only 3% of public schools required school uniforms. And in 2005, wearing school uniforms quadrupled and jumped to 14%, especially in the public schools. Uniforms are encouraged and worn in many of the large school districts in the country. This is a time and also the belief that having uniforms in school um, would bring about positive impact on students' behavior and also discipline in the classroom. Wearing school uniforms instill respect for faculty, administration, and for all students as well. Classroom behavior and disruption are reduced as well as peer pressure. Increased student learning and positive attitude towards teachers and peers. And there is also feeling of school pride for oneself and for their environment. School uniforms also brings about safety awareness among students and faculty. In fact, it increases students' attendance. It builds good student-teacher relationship as well as lower school suspension among students. Having school uniforms influences students in a positive way as well as teachers, parents, and community. It creates a positive relationship among students that can have a lasting impact. And students tend to behave differently and they become more involved in extracurricular activities. Many of the students find community places to volunteer for service projects such as soup kitchens, passing out blankets for the homeless, and tutoring young children in grade school. Wearing school uniforms in school takes the pressure off parents and students It helps students want to do well and be successful, and it also inspires students to do well in the classroom and have a positive communication with peers, their parents, and faculty. Now that I've talked about the positive impact that wearing school uniforms may have on students, I also want to talk about how parents can afford school uniforms and what schools are doing to help. School districts are trying to make school uniforms affordable for families and students with info to them about thrift shops, consignment stores, and many other and different other places to shop that are different shopping places that are affordable for parents to shop for uniforms that are reasonable. Different schools will have simple uniforms for their students to purchase and to wear that is affordable. For boys, khaki pants, polo shirts, and a white shirt. For girls, plaid skirts with khaki pants, polo shirt, and a white blouse. Schools will implement other colors to add to the uniforms already in place for their students. It also relieves pressure for parents and students when trying to figure out what to wear to school the next day. I hope that bringing this topic of school uniforms to the forefront will help us understand some of the positive impact it may have on students, and that uniforms are made affordable to parents, to families, that school districts are working with families to make this possible. Now that we know that school uniforms not only relieves pressure from parents as well as students, that students now feel that they can do much better in school and in the classroom, I want to conclude by saying that school uniforms are worn by students, whether in private school or public schools, have had a positive impact with their learning and behavior in the classroom. Positive relationships are formed between teachers, students, as well as parents and community. I have seen positive things that students have done in middle schools as well as high schools as they become involved with their community. A feeling of pride and accomplishment for these students in their school uniforms is important, and the same can be said for the students who choose not to wear a uniform. For the many students who choose to wear their uniform to school, it is the pride that they feel and bring to themselves. Just as a police officer is proud to put on his or her uniform every day to go to work. So did the school uniform make a difference in the student behaviors that I observed in the mall in Brisbane, Australia? You bet it did. The students' speaking language, their actions showed me that not only did the uniform that they wear every day represents who they are as an individual, but it also represented their families, their faith, their school, their community, and also their peers.